In New Delhi, Israel and India are exploring to open new vistas of partnership in the world of finance, including the collaboration between the market regulators and allowing Israel investment in the corporate bonds, taking advantage of a favorable climate in both countries. The Securities and Exchange Board of India and its Israeli counterparts are exploring partnership, and the two sides are also focusing on cybersecurity collaborations to safeguard their financial markets. Israel Ambassador to India Ron Malka told the Economic Times in an interview that ahead of Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu's proposed visit to India next month. Malka, with decades of experience in economic affairs, was handpicked by Netanyahu as envoy to New Delhi to help boost Indo-Israeli economic partnership. Israeli PM is planning to visit India in September second week, which would be his second trip to India in successive years. And tie-ups in financial markets, he said the idea is to encourage free flow of funds and partnership between the bros of the two countries. We are looking forward to India investment in Tel Aviv stock market. The two nations have entered into several partnerships recently, but those are mostly in security and technology. Israel has a small population but high per capita income. Experts say India should look at the potential of this offer. For instance, Indian companies could think about listing in Israel just like they do in US and UK exchanges. Israel to seize opportunities from increased economic partnership with India. The emergence of India as a global economy and India's presence in G20 grouping present Israel with an opportunity. We want to be part of India's success story, said Malka. He referred to the possible joint ventures between the two sides in areas such as innovation, agriculture and water. 60% of Israel is desert and the remaining 40% is semi-arid. Israel has handled the issues of water scarcity and has extended a hand of friendship to assist India to overcome the crisis, said Malka in his statement. So what do you think of India-Israel growing up cooperation in finance? Will this be a boost for both the countries, or these are the stepping stones for future of India-Israel relationships? The G20 surveillance note expects India's economy to grow at 7.3% in 2019 and 7.5% in 2020. The note said the recent manufacturing indicators points to a tentative rebound in the Asian and the Latin American countries except India. The note comes ahead of G20 finance ministers and the central bank governors meeting on June 8th and 9th. It has been prepared by the International Monetary Fund or the IMF staff, but does not necessarily reflect the views of IMF. The global growth is projected to remain stable at 3.6%, but will rely on the weights shifting towards the countries with relatively higher growth rates, mainly to the G20 emerging markets such as China and India. April 2019, the World Economic Outlook revised down the projection for the global growth to 3.3% in 2019, a 0.4 percentage points lower than the projected in October 2018. The official data released last week showed India's economy growing slower than expected to a quarter of 20, lower in the January-March period, dragging overall growth to the 5-year low in a fiscal year of 2019 to 6.8%, presenting the first big challenge for the second term for Prime Minister of India, Mr. Narendra Modi-led government.
Global growth may slow in 2019 as worsening financial conditions combine with full employment and rising prices. Global stocks may peak sometime in 2019 if global economic indicators signal the gathering clouds of a global recession.
The Statistics Office had projected 7% growth in the second advance estimates released in February. Following on from this, the Reserve Bank of India is widely expected to cut interest rates on Thursday to bolster the flagging economy. While the rest of the emerging Asian and the Latin American countries mostly surprised on the downside in the first quarter on the weak investments and the exports. The recent manufacturing indicators point to a tentative rebound, except in India, said in the note.
We have had reasonable growth in Mexico and Brazil, but not too impressive. Mexico and Brazil make more than 60% of the Latin American economy. So if Mexico and Brazil don't perform better, the whole region as a whole is not going to perform better.
It highlighted that the emerging G20 economies, including India, are facing more binding constraints on fiscal space, often against a backdrop of high public debt and in some cases the sizable risk of premium. The government has met in a fiscal deficit target of 3.4% of GDP for the fiscal year of 2019, after sharply cutting spending towards the end of the financial year as revenue fell short of its estimates. As per the report, for some G20 emerging economies, high levels of public debate and the financing cost, along with the volatile commodity prices, could weigh on medium-term growth. The prospects and the convergence towards advanced economies with constrained fiscal space and limiting investment opportunities. However, the note showed that in India, reforms to hiring and dismissal regulations would help incentivize forming or formal job creations. In commodity exports, the economic diversification remains essential for sustained strong growth. Since 2011 and 12, India's exports have been hovering at around $300 billion. During 2018 and 19, the foreign shipments grew 9% to $331 billion. Prime Minister of India, Mr. Modi, will briefly visit Sri Lanka on Sunday, during which he would hold a discussion with the President of Sri Lanka, Maithripala Sirisena, according to the President Office. The Modi will be the first foreign leader to visit the island nation after the Easter incident. This will be Modi's third visit to Sri Lanka. Earlier, he visited the country in 2015 and 2017. So what do you think of India's not growing as fast as other countries? While the new Prime Minister of India has more work to do, will he do in these 5 years, or still the Indian economy is going to die slowly, or someone has to help it? While India's economy is growing at 7.3% in 2019, but it is rated to grow at 7.5% in 2020, according to a G20 note. Will this follow, or except other countries, India is slightly going slower than last 5 years into coming 5 years? India is likely to join China and Russia in voicing the reservation about US trade protections at the SCO summit in Bishkek this week. Which will mark Prime Minister of India Mr. Narendra Modi's maiden foreign outrage beyond South Asia in his second term as Prime Minister. At the Shanghai Cooperation Organizations, or the SCO meeting on June 30th and 14th of 2019, the leaders of these three nations, along with other member states, may pitch for a new type of multilateral trade system based on the rules. People familiar with the issue told to Economic Times. The continuing trade battle between the US and China and its impact on the global economy will be among the key talking points at the meeting. China has been reaching out to India, Russia, and other SCO states to reunite and unite against the protectionist trade policies of US President Donald Trump. At the summit, the leader of these nations could call for joint resistance to any manifestation of unilateral protectionism and active cooperation with a view to forming a global economy of a new type and strengthening the multilateral trade system, and that is inclusive, transparent, non-discriminatory, and based on the rules. Modi is expected to hold a bilateral meeting with the President of China, Russia, and other Central Asian nations on the sidelines of the summit. The Indian government is upset over the Trade Administration announcement on May 31 that it was ending a special trade privilege granted to India in 1976 for exporting goods to the US duty-free. So what do you think of India and Russia to rejoin and oppose US trade policies which was created by Donald Trump for protectionist acts like Modi, China and US do for their own country?